It is time for another episode of the Cultural Hall, the first of its kind in the way that we're doing it for this. It is the Saints Who Sport standalone episode. We've done this one before where it was a third block, but it will only be Saints Who Sport sporting news, the sporty of sportsmen's sport, right? Sport. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, I think that's the new name, right? Sporting more sports and anything
Yes.
else that it sports with. Yeah.
You recognize that voice likely. He is the unfortunately not nicknamed gentleman at this point, Chris West. Although I want to do something with like West is best or throw him a fest or something like that. There's a lot of rhyming capabilities.
If only there was an AI that you could type something in and say, give me a nickname based on my name. But I don't know. We're a few years away from something like that.
Do you want me to just give up all of my nicknaming jobs?
Yeah, basically, you're out of a job. AI is going to steal your job, Richie.
That's right. If I give up all the nicknaming capabilities, now I want to see what it would, have me do. Chris West is joining me. He's made himself, he's invested time, and diligence, commitment into making him be the sports Saints, professional, as it were. Trying to be a pharaoh of sports, if you will.
Can't be pharaoh. That one's already taken.
Well, no.
You'll keep working it. You'll find something.
Hold on, I'm getting in. Do you have an AI that you prefer? I'm a Gemini man myself.
Are you? Yeah, I'm all in on ChatGPT. I use it all the time. So I got a few. I got CW. I got Westman, Chris the West.
Chris the West is not bad.
West Side. I've heard all of these.
Yep.
And some of these my friends have used when I was in
high school. See, I already like the ones that Gemini has come with. So maybe this is a win for Gemini over ChatGPT. Are you ready for these?
Tell me what you got.
C-Dub. I love C-Dub.
C-Dub. Yep.
His last name is W. So C-Dub. Wes, just short for Chris West. Wes as Wes. CW.
Yeah,
CW. You get into the other one. I like this one. The Sheriff.
Ooh, wow.
Because he's Wild West.
From the West. I'm the sheriff.
The sheriff. Ooh. The sheriff of sports. I'm not sure yet if any of those. And then West Coast. But see how much better Gemini is?
Yeah.
This episode brought to you by Gemini.
Well, I don't even know who makes Gemini. It might be the first time I've ever heard that, but I think we can chalk it up for a win this round.
No, that's really the first time you've ever heard of it?
No, I've heard of it, but I haven't used it at all. So I'm all in on ChatGPT and Midjourney and fun stuff like that. But
what audiences of the Cultural Hall have really enjoyed, though, is the musical stylings of Suno. The songs that we have put, in fact, in front of this episode, I'll create a Saints Who sporting anthem song. The lyrics will be terrible, but you'll go, wow, they made their own song. So Saints Who Sport song brought to you by AI, Suno.
Yeah, we got our in-house band now.
Yeah.
Anything we tell them.
Yeah. How are you, sir? You well?
Yeah, I'm doing well. I'm glad we get to get back together and do some of this stuff because, it's been a few weeks and summer, got kids home and we got girls camp and young men's camp and it's all over now. Half the summer's already gone for us with all we've been able to do.
Well, and as we look towards the Olympics, there's a lot of news, and the church that is the mainstream Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints typically sort of shuts down news in July because all the apostles go on vacation. They take July and they take December off. Not a bad gig. Yeah. So we won't likely get a bunch of church-centered, focused news. So why not create Saints Who Sport its own episode in the month of July?
Yeah, I think so too. And we got the Olympics don't start till the end of the month, but right now we're getting lots of news articles about people who are qualifying for the Olympics. So we're starting to get our eye about who they are, where they're coming from, and if they are a Saint Who Sports or not. So we're going to get a lot of information here. And of course, into August, there'll be even more for us to look at.
Now, do you prefer in this episode, would you like to start with future Olympians, or would you like to take a break? We'll do all the other sports news, then take a break and come back and do the Olympics. Which would you prefer.
Well, we got a lot of stuff, and where it might even delve into some tabloid territory with some of
Well,
these saints and some of the things they're getting into. So, we got all sorts of fun things. We can get the weird stuff out of the way first, and then
cool.
get right into the Olympics.
Okay.
Because I know some people are dying to hear some of the crazy stories coming out of Utah Jazz land and some of the things that are happening
Oh my
there.
gosh,
So,
this story is insanity.
yeah, I don't know. So, really interesting how all of this is going to work. Let's start with the NBA. We just had the draft here recently, as of recording, was a few days ago, and Utah Jazz, they came in here and they took Mr. Kyle Filipowski. And great guy. He's a guy who they expected to go in the first round, and he didn't go in the first round. He went in the second round to, of course, the Utah Jazz. And why did he go in the second round? Well, Richie, there might be some controversy going on here. Who really knows? I think people are just making something of anything just so they can make a story out of it. But there's some facts here. Do you want to hear them?
I do. I will say this though. I saw a tweet, or an X, or whatever we're calling it. I still call it's a tweet, even on X, right?
Yeah, it will be. We're old like that. We still refer to Facebook as MySpace, right?
Yeah. Someone said there could not be a more Utah Jazz looking player than Kyle Filipowski. Like they're
a white guy.
Yeah, because he looks so Utah that he just sort of screams it. I loved that. And then to get into all of, a brainwashing, get into this a little bit.
Right. Well, and why people might be asking, yes, the Utah Jazz are in Utah. Yes, there's lots of members, but that isn't necessarily why we're looking at something like this, because it is highly rumored. I have not been able to find the facts here if he is a member of the church.
No,
it sounds
he's not.
like
He's
is.
not. He's not.
He isn't?
As I don't understand it, he's
some
not.
Some things I saw is that he had converted because of his girlfriend.
Well,
so I don't know. Again, just weird controversy when it comes to all of this. So let's step back with all this. He's a great player. He's almost 7 feet tall. He can do what he needs to do on Duke, scoring on average 16.4 points a game, 8.3 rebounds. Like, he's doing well with what he needs to do. 34.8% from the 3-point line. He's going to do great. He'll do well fitting into all of this. But that's why he thought they were going to go do in the first round. Second round, maybe there's some controversy. So let's step back a little bit. Let's look at this. Apparently, he's got a fiance who has been his girlfriend for a few years, and she's a tad bit older. That's no big deal, right?
Yeah.
Well, she's about 7 years older.
I was going to say a tad bit is a little different.
That's a little more than a tad bit. My wife and I are just over 3 years. That's a tad. And I tell my kids, like, hey, when you're a senior, look at the freshmen. That's how far apart your mom and I are. That's kind of weird, but okay, whatever. But 7 years, that's going back a lot further. Hey, look at those sixth graders. Like, it's weird, right?
Yeah, especially in that context. Jeez.
Oh, okay. I went too far. So let's get back into the proper side of weird and talk about Kyle and his fiance. What made this all kind of weird is she went to prom with him. And he was 16, 17. And, that puts her into her low 20s. Okay, whatever. I don't know what matters with this, but it clearly shows that she was dating a minor. Is that a big deal? I don't know, but it is what it is. And then all the other controversy comes out saying, oh, well, she's a member of the church, and she is doing all she can to groom this guy to get him to be a member and, convert them while they're young, get them into the church, do all that you can. This is the time to do that. And that's where I saw some of the stories saying that he did actually convert to be a member of the church, which is why some of his family has decided to, hey, we don't want to talk to you. We're not interested in you. You join this church, or this girl's been doing crazy things to you. And now their family has been pushing him away from all of this. So anyway, is that why he went so late in the draft? Who knows?
I mean, here's the thing, because there can be, and we live in a day and an age where you get a little bit of stink on you, and people, or some organizations I swear, like, say, yes, please. We would like the story that comes with whoever this person is. And we know which NBA organizations those are. But then there are others that are just like, listen, if this is going to be a pain at all, I'm not interested. Let someone else have that pain. And the difference between the first round and the second round, financially speaking, it's a big deal for Kyle in that respect that he didn't go in the first round. So, I mean, it's a big deal as far as sporting news goes.
Yeah. I mean, the Jazz said they were really surprised that he was still on the board. And so they took him when they had that opportunity. But nonetheless, controversy or not, what really matters is how he's going to play. We'll see
Yeah.
what happens here coming into this next season. And we've seen controversies like this with girlfriends, and they tend to blow over and we forget about it. And we laugh now and go, oh my goodness, what is going on? And then we don't worry about it at all. In fact, someone else we're going to talk about has certainly had some controversy with women that he has dated. So it's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to be there. And whether we stick with it or not, like I said, there's a little bit of tabloid action in the news here today. But what's important is we got a good player going to a team here. We'll see how well they do. Of course, I'm a Nuggets fan, being where I'm located at. So I will never root for the Jazz, no matter who's on their team. But nonetheless, let's give Filipowski a chance to play and get away from all of this.
Well, the other thing that I do wonder, though, right? I mean, 7 years older. He's in high school. Like, I mean, to me, I would sort of go, why are you doing this? I would be curious as to how they met. Is this a thing where she's like, oh, that's a tall guy, he's going to be in the NBA, he's good at basketball, like she's investing in her future? I don't think that that's the case necessarily, but it does make you think, if you are 23, 24, why are you going to prom with a 17-year-old, 18-year-old? Maybe you just love each other, and the older you get, it doesn't matter, right? Yeah. Parents are probably well aware of how old she is, so they don't think anything of that. Assuming that she is a covenant-keeping member of the church, I mean, that's a safe person for your son to be dating.
No kidding. Well, Richie, I was in a similar situation. Oh, okay, that sounds weird. All right, let me put it a different way. I came home from my mission at age 21.
Sure.
My wife was 18 when we started dating. That seemed kind of funky. You got a 21-year-old, you got an 18-year-old. That seems awkward and weird. But hey, at least you was 18, right?
Sure.
You're not, he might be 16, which according to the Fourth Strength of Youth at that time was when you needed to start dating.
Yeah.
But, nonetheless, a little different, little weird. I see this as not that big of a deal. Whether it led into more controversy, there's more, time will tell. We'll see what stories come out of this. Ultimately, they're engaged now and they're a lot older. It doesn't really matter at the past. Today, they're planning on getting married, and whether he's a member of the church or not, I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens there as well.
What I also wasn't able to find is they said, oh yeah, that she's grooming him.
Yeah.
And I don't know, because I wasn't able to find any particular details about it. Like, was she grooming him like we think like a predator would groom someone, right? Like she was hanging around when he was younger, or was she grooming him like, like other people could look at it and be like, hey, it's important that you be a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints so that we can enter the temple. I could see that some people could look at that and say that's sort of grooming towards making the baptismal covenant. But I mean, it seems like a couple accusations, then the internet takes it away, then two guys doing a Saints Who Sport continue to talk about it, but with no details.
With no details. We're just speculating on all this stuff. I don't know. But, like I said, there are plenty of Saints Who Sport who are no stranger to controversy. Another one being on here, of course, going to be in the NFL, Mr. Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
And Mr. Zach Wilson, he is also one who's prone to some controversy and with the women that he dates, regardless of their age. But this time.
Well, specifically, though, you remember the initial thing, right? Was that he had hooked up with like one of his mom's friends or something like that. And she was 10 years older than he was or something like that.
Yeah. So here we are going 7 years. Oh, my goodness. Well, now he's dating someone who's younger than him by 2 years, and they are now engaged, and happy for them. There we go. Everyone's going to be talking about it. They're here again in my hometown of Denver, and get a chance. He's competing for the starting QB position on the Denver Broncos against Jared Stidham and Bo Nix. So we loved a good dynamic duo. Everyone loves hearing of these things. We just had Russell Wilson and, of course, his wife, and everyone's going to talk about it. We just seem to really love these famous relationships all across the national sports.
How in Denver, how has Zach Wilson been sort of received? He went to New York as a second draft pick, not like second round, like literally there's the one person, then he went second, and everyone's like, this will help the Jets, and the Jets can't help the Jets, right?
Yeah, exactly. So overall, he has not turned out the way that he should have been throughout the NFL and his career. You mentioned here he went to the Jets, number 2, 34 games, almost 6,300 yards, 23 touchdowns. Not bad overall, but we're also missing the interceptions and the fumbles and the things that makes it so he's not the best QB overall. So, here he is coming to Denver. That was the way we've talked about it is, just a backup. Who really knows what's going to happen? He's someone who can do something. Maybe he just needs the right people and we can turn it around. But they went and drafted a QB anyway with Bo Nix. So we'll see what happens here. And if he really gets the attention that he got in New York, and if it's going to carry over here in Denver.
Well, and some of the things that made it so hard for him is New York is a brutal sports town. They give you about half a second to perform at the level that they think you should. And then when you don't, it is lighting those guys up. So, Brother Wilson, that no announcement on when he's getting married or anything like that.
No, nothing like that. And as far as we can tell, he's no longer an active member of the church, but, to each his own. We'll kind of see where he goes with that. So, well, Richie, I think we got our two more controversial tabloid articles out of the way. We can get back more on the straight and narrow here. And let's head on over to Major League Baseball, because you couldn't be more straight and narrow than that, right?
Well, you have to, because you have to run in a straight line. If you deviate, you get tagged out.
You have to. It's from one corner to the next corner. You're exactly right. Well, let's talk about Will Melville. And anyone who has had the opportunity to see Moneyball. In fact, Richie, have you ever seen Moneyball?
Is that the movie with Brad Pitt?
Yeah, Brad Pitt.
I have.
Yeah, and that's based on a real story of basically using a lot of statistics to come up with people and get them to be a better team. And the Oakland Athletics turn things around by just using math to say, hey, you know what's better than home runs? People getting on base. Let's do what we can to get people on base. So they did that. And so we've got another Moneyball type story with the Texas Rangers, who won the 2023 World Series. And Will Melville, a graduate student at BYU, is credited with some of their success.
Interesting.
So here he is developing some mathematical formulas, doing what he can to be able to make sure that there aren't as many balls that are turned into runs. So hits that turn into runs. So a baseball player hits the bat, it's a hit. And if they can drop the ball, then they can get to first, second, third, or home base. So what he was able to do is saying, hey, with certain players, we know they're going to hit in certain places. So because of that, we're going to put together a nice formula that says our outfielders are able to stand in certain places so that they can catch the ball more often. So that's basically what it is he just did some math to be able to help them catch the ball more often. And the biggest thing behind this is that they made the change with his formula mid-season, which is a gamble to do mid-season. Do you really want to change the way you're playing ball? Well, they did it, and he put things in place, and guess what? Rangers won the World Series. And it's all thanks to Brother Will, right? Well, who knows?
Yeah.
But
I hear this story, and my hope is that Brother Will is a athletic and talented person that could have played baseball but decided not to. But my suspicion is that he is probably someone who loves the sport and has zero physical ability to be able to do it, and just thought, how can I contribute to this sport that I love so much, and decided to do this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's probably what it is. Taking a look at the guy, I think he just loves stats. And I think if you ever had a stats teacher, they're all baseball fans. So they just loved all of those things. But hey, by his analysis, it says, hey, we can decrease the number of runs by 22.5 runs below the average. If you can reduce the number of runs, then you're more likely to win a game by not letting the other team score. So overall, I would say there was an improvement here in helping the Texas Rangers take it all the way.
There you go. Way to go, Brother Will. I like that. I like that. It seems like it's a little less fun when we start making all of our sports science, though. And I know that they're already so much, the way that guys swing the bat or swing the golf club, or, the hydration that they have, like all of that is science to the hilt. But in my heart of hearts, I just kind of hope that none of it is. And the guy's just like, I'm good. I'm hydrated. That's how I do this. I don't really
know
do it. I just happen to be good at it.
Just drink my water. That's all you got to do.
Yeah. If it were that easy. If it were that easy.
All right. Where do you want to go next, Richie?
So you've got some basketball stuff. Is that part of the Olympics? Are we into Olympics already?
Not quite the Olympics yet. No.
Okay.
What I have here with some basketball is some BYU basketball. We got two stories that have drawn up here recently. Let's start with the big one, the tall Russian, 6'9". We've got here this team, Igor Demin. I'm going to say Igor Demin is the name to pronounce here. He comes from playing in Spain. So he's been playing in a European basketball league, Real Madrid, and playing over there. And he was able to come on in, get recruited over here to play for BYU on a scholarship. Wow. And a great opportunity. He's been looked at as a top 10 prospect for the 2025 NBA draft. And Coach Young, the new coach here for BYU, has said, we really want to turn BYU basketball into a pipeline for the NBA. So we've got great players coming in here, and we're going to draft them. Historically, as best as I could find here, what I saw, Jimmer Fredette is the only one that has gone through that NBA draft. I could be wrong. Someone's probably going to say, you were wrong, and here's 17 other people that have done it.
The last one to go through was Jimmer Fredette, and that's been 13, 14 years. Yeah.
All right. So it's been a while, and Jimmer's been a while, who we'll talk about here in a little bit, being in the Olympics. But we haven't really had the opportunity to do that, to be able to put a lot of members here of the church through those first round or so, at least from BYU. So that's what the intention is here. Really wants to build that, have the opportunity. So one thing also to point out, he is not a member of the church. Okay. So here, Coach Young's strategy is to not just recruit members of the church. Sure. Of course, there's going to have to live by a standard nonetheless, but really trying to recruit people, doing what you can to get people here on the team that are going to really help you compete in the Big 12, but also give you the opportunity to get some recognition by saying, and with the number 2 pick from BYU, that's what he's hoping
which is
for,
huge for the program, and that translates into millions of dollars.
It really does.
We have a little audio from Igor Demin. Did you know this?
Oh, wow. I can't believe you got a nice quote and everything.
Yeah. He was asked, they were talking to him about being able to play for BYU and how he feels like they're going to compete against all of the teams in the Big 12 and, on the team next year. And he was quoted as saying, I will crush you. So pretty exciting about that. Russian.
That's brutal. Yeah, we got a real Rocky situation going on here, right?
Yay! And for everyone who knew that and everyone else went stupid. That was a lot of work for that joke. What's the other BYU basketball story?
All right, the other BYU. Richie, are you aware of the transfer portal?
Yeah, essentially, you don't have to play at the same team the whole time. So long as you have years of eligibility, you have to say you're going to enter the portal at a certain time. And I know that there's some controversy around it because some people feel like that what it has created is if a player commits to a team and then he's not being treated the way that he or she would like to, they can go, I'm going to enter the portal and go somewhere else rather than sticking it out and being able to be with the team.
Well, and with some recent court developments, now players can be paid on all of this, and they can get some of that big money at some of these big conference games. So that's another reason. Now, this particular one does not fall into that story here. Kemery Martin, she's from Alta. And
Alta. That's how we know you're from a different state. Come on, Colorado.
Are you sure it's not Hurricane, Utah? I don't know. I can't figure this stuff out. All right.
So you want to go to Zion National Park?
Zion.
That's another tell. Sorry, go on.
All right. She went to school at Utah State, and she played some basketball there before she went over to California University, and played there for a while, but entered then into the transfer portal to go to BYU. When she was asked why you're doing that, really, she's got family, and she wants family to come and watch her play, and she wants to be closer to them and have that opportunity. But she also felt that Coach Whittings, the coach there at the women's basketball team, said that, hey, these skills are good for you. And they really kind of courted her to come and play for BYU, knowing how well she played over at Utah State and Cal. And so now has the opportunity for her to be able to come and put those to use, and said, hey, this will be a good fit for you. I think this will be a good spot for you. So we got some people in the news moving from place to place via the portal, and in which case this is a good upstanding member of the church heading over to BYU to play for the women's basketball team.
Cool. Now this next one, it's a runner story, but it sort of approaches the Olympics a little bit. So let's take a break. When we come back in the second half, we'll do Olympians, Saints who sport. I'll come up with something better than that. Saints who Olympian League sport. Saints from around, I don't know. We'll come back. bestdjinutah.com is the website. That is where you go if you would like me to come and DJ your event. Now, will I do a family reunion where you all wear the same t-shirts? You bet I will. Will I travel to wherever you're at? Uh-huh. Am I reasonable as far as what I cost? Yes. Yes. Do I bring a good time? Yeah, all the things. Listen, Best DJ in Utah, it's my company. It's a thing I do that allows me to be able to have the time to do the cultural hall. So if someone's getting married, you think, man, they need a great DJ. You're throwing a party, whether it's a 50th or 60th or 40th or 20th or whatever the party is. I've done them all and would love to be able to do that. An anniversary party, certainly done those. I did a baptism in 2023. Yeah, we did a big dance party at a baptism. Spoiler, not a Mormon baptism, but it was fun nonetheless. bestdjinutah.com is a website. I will get back to you within 24 hours with a quote. Come on now. bestdjinutah.com.
Imagine running a small business today. It's challenging. Imaging and internet presence is an absolute must. Even with that, you're still a small star in a bright cyber universe. Now, imagine you have someone who understands how to get your site designed for your talents and then easily searched by potential clients. Imagine Lennon Design. Whether it's strictly a website or a whole package of logo creation, advertising media, and promotional materials, Lennon Design is your partner in business. They'll test the boundaries of their imagination to create something unique for you. When you need creative, affordable design, let it be Lennon Design. Call 801-699-3022 or visit LennonDesign.com.
Here we go in the second half of Saints Who Sport, all about those members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints who compete in some sort of sport, whether it be professional or collegiate. I think we could maybe go other ways. Like if there was a hot dog eating competition with a member of the church, I think we would talk about that in a Saints Who Sport. That's a sport.
They want to do, anything that they can do better than somebody else.
Yeah,
that's a sport.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. It's like home teaching used to be. We could technically talk about how home teaching. I digress. Tell me about this runner that unfortunately didn't make it.
Okay, all right,
crazy story.
Yes, she unfortunately didn't. This was an older story that we had got, a few weeks ago. But with all these people competing with the Olympics, these stories can become old really quickly just with the next event. So we have Megan Hunter that was spotlighted by the Church News about a month ago. And it tells a great story of her of getting into an accident, breaking her neck in 2019. She's a great runner. She was excited to go where she was doing what she wanted to do, and yet then told, hey, you'll probably walk again, but you're not going to run. Like, you're not going to be able to go through all of this stuff. And what do we do when doctors tell us to do something or not do something? We do the opposite. That's what we love doing.
Yeah.
Oh, you tell me I will never walk? Well, I will walk again.
In fact, I'm going to run at the Olympic trials.
So she did. And she's called what is put out here is a mid-distance runner. Now, I don't know about you, but we're looking at 400 and 800 meter runs.
Okay.
So that's going to be 1 to 2 laps around a track, right?
Yeah. Or a truck if it's a real big truck.
A really big truck. And what we have here, she was able to run that and do the 800 meter run with a time of 2 minutes and 6 seconds just over a year ago. She will do really well, beating her time, clocking in, being getting all team, earn first team All-America honors. So she's doing really well. She's making her way up through the everything, and now she has the opportunity to go into the Olympic trials. Well, fast forward from this, unfortunately, she did fall short last week. She was able to do well in quarterfinals, and I think even the semifinals as well. But she placed 8th, I think, if I saw here last, which means she did not qualify to go mid-distance running for the Olympics. So this is a name where she's a great person, great story. Have that linked here in the show notes. Go back and read that, her recovery and where she's going to go with herself. She's young enough that she'll have an opportunity in 4 years to be able to do this again with the Olympics, even though she didn't make it this year.
Jeez. Okay. Take me wherever you want to go next for the Olympics.
Okay. Well, let's keep as we're moving here through the Olympics. Let's talk more running. What we've got here, we've seen this name before, Connor Mantz and Clayton Young. Connor Mantz actually did compete in 2021 in the Olympics, but he placed 5th. Now he ran, here we were talking mid-distance, 400, 800 meters. Now he's running 5,000 meters and 10,000 meters.
Too much.
I don't know how many laps that is, and I'm not going to do the math. That's just too many.
It's constantly running and never stopping.
But this is never stopping. So here he is, him with Clayton Young are going to run in the marathon for the Olympics. Now, what's cool is that they were both numbers 1 and 2 in the pre-qualifying races to get into the Olympics. They're both BYU champions and grads from that school, Utah natives. They were there overlapping for about a year or two. So they're not exactly the same age. It's not like they grew up with each other, but they've been working with each other and practicing and training. And they're excited to run their marathon on August 10th in Paris. So they're ones that'll have certainly some high profile pieces done on them just being Americans in general, but the fact that they're numbers 1 and 2 on the American team and they're both members of the church from BYU, that's pretty cool. Talk about Saints who sport.
Well, and you're forgetting a Saint who sports right alongside them, but isn't highlit because he's running for Canada. But Rory Linkletter, also who has been practicing with Manson Young, is going to be in the Olympics representing, our nation's hat, Canada. Running for Canada. So way to go. What I presume would be Brother Linkletter.
Yeah. And that's good to point out there. There was an article that actually came out today from the church calling for anybody who's competing in the Olympics. They want to know who's competing right now, and they want to know where everybody is so that they can highlight them. And we, of course, then in Saints Who Sport here on the Cultural Hall can do what we can to highlight them as well. So far, they're aware of 5 different players. Now you just mentioned 6 players. You just mentioned someone else in there. So, I think we're going to get some more people. Obviously we're going to see where things come from. In the 2020 Olympics, there were 15 athletes from 8 countries. So if that was 4 years ago at 2020 in Tokyo, then we can look at this going, all right, well, what are we going to get this time around? 15 athletes from 8 countries. We'll see where that comes in at. We're already aware of 6 of them just from America alone. So I'm sure there's going to be others from other countries as well.
So picking up some of those names, I know I jumped around in what you were hoping to present, but we got Connor Manson, Clayton Young. Those are a couple of runners, the marathoners. Then Kenneth Rooks, James Corrigan, and Courtney Waymont, who are steeplechasers. So that's 5. And then Jimmer Fredette in the 3-on-3 basketball.
Right.
So
that's what we're seeing right now.
Maybe
now,
Rory might be number 7. Rory might be number 7.
Yeah, and I've got someone else we'll talk about here in a minute that she may be a member of the church. I don't know. I think ultimately the church is going to do a lot of background. And if you say, yeah, I'm a member of the church, they go and they look up your recommend status and they, they check some things. They go, do we want to highlight this person as a prominent member of the church competing in the Olympics? I'm sure they have their vetting process.
Yeah,
there's other people like who you mentioned and someone else I have here on the list to talk about that seems to be a member, but who really knows for sure?
Interesting how they do determine how to do it, because I think we're thinking of the same person who's a shorter distance track runner. Is that who you are sort of alluding to? I saw someone.
Sherry Hawkins, is that who you're talking about?
What is she? What sport? I'm not sure.
Heptathlon.
Oh yeah, no. This was a short distance runner that I saw that is really good friends with a woman who ran for BYU.
Okay.
And I know the person that ran for BYU is no longer active in the church. So I don't know. Like, it is an interesting thing. If you have been had your membership withdrawn, the church wouldn't be like, they used to be a part of us and now their membership is withdrawn.
Yeah.
But if you're just inactive, does the church go, hey, Chris West, C-Dub, he's going to the the Olympics and he's of record? Or do we just go, we may not really like it? Or do they reach out and go, hey, Chris, we're from the Deseret News or the Church News. We know that you're a member of the church. We're thinking about highlighting you. Are you comfortable with that? I wonder if they do that.
Yeah. I don't know. Obviously, you and I do not work in the church news department, and who knows how they do a lot of these things. But we'll be sure to follow that closely as they highlight different people, and we'll be able to see some other people and see what we can do to work with them and talk with them. Just because the Saints who sport and those who are adjacent to Saints. There's our subline there. So
Saints adjacent. So a heptathlon is 7 events.
Yeah, I had to look this one up.
Jeez.
Heptathlon, which means 7. And the 7 events, we've got 100-meter hurdles.
Okay.
Jump over stuff over 100 meters. That's a quarter of a track. Then you've got a high jump that you need to do.
Okay.
So grab your pole, do your high jump. And then you've got shot put. And then you've got 200-meter run. Then you've got the long jump into the sand pit. Then you're going to pick up your javelin. You're going to throw it as far as you can. And then you do 800-meter run, which is 2 laps.
Now,
So
the way that you just said that is not how they do it. It's not
I
like
don't know.
it's not like you do the 100-meter hurdles and then you're like, good, done. Now you pick up
pick it up and do something else. So they don't do it all at the same time.
No, and just so before we get the emails, the high jump is no pole.
Oh, right. Sorry,
I said that. That's pole
is
vault.
My sons compete in that, so they would whack me on the head if they heard me say that. You're right. High jump is where you're jumping backwards over the pole into the mat.
Yeah, they do that cool thing that I go, how does that not? Okay.
Body around. Yeah.
Good for them.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So we'll get some final word on that. I'm looking at the remainder of your stories that we've got here. Oh, yeah. Let's talk about the torch because I thought that was important.
Yeah. So the torch, we're all familiar with the torch. The torch has been jumping around all over the place. And depending on the host country, they plan out where things are going to go. So they're hitting all of their territories right now, in which case French Polynesia, Tahiti, we've got some members of the church down there who have had the opportunity to carry that around. So here we've got a few people carrying this around. And to start off, the church actually did a lot to support that. They opened up their church buildings. They invited a lot of Olympic officials to be able to come and do some headquarters stuff there, coordinate security and so forth, to really do all that we can to help people out. So what's specifically highlighted here from this is one particular bronze medalist from the 2023 Pacific Games. Her name is, here we go, Amiya Tamure, 16-year-old who got her bronze medal in judo. So Amiya here had the opportunity to carry that torch across the island here and go through their relay to go from one person to the next. But the Church News does highlight just the fact that the community opened up their church doors and invited a lot of people in to be able to do that. So here we've got both not a member, but also the church actively competing there in Tahiti.
I thought your fun fact was an interesting thing worth bringing up because I am a fan of well, isn't that interesting kind of facts?
Yeah.
Go ahead, because that's how we'll end this episode.
So I was just doing some recent reading, and this happened to come up here, and I went, oh my goodness. So we're all familiar with the torch. In fact, many of us remember, we close our eyes and think hard enough, President Hinckley carrying the torch, right? There in Salt Lake City in 2002, carrying things around. But where did this tradition start? And it actually started in 1936 when the Olympics were in Berlin. Now, hold on, let's do some math. Let's think about our history a little bit. Who was in power in 1936? Well, the Nazi the party, of course. And so the minister of propaganda, Mr. Joseph Goebbels, he said to Karl Diem, who was doing a lot of stuff, hey, let's do what we can to really draw attention to how great we are, and how similar we are to these great athletes from ancient Greece. So they came up with the torchbearer. And so thanks to our good friend, no, I can't say that. Thanks to the terrible people over in Nazi Germany in 1936, that is a tradition that we still carry on today. That it's weird that those Olympics, something came out of it and we're still practicing it today. I mean, it's nothing bad with a torch relay, but just was interesting for the fact that it was contrived by the minister of propaganda for the Nazi party.
If you want another interesting fact that I just find it to be adjacent to this, if you look up the Bellamy salute, that's how when we used to say the Pledge of Allegiance in the morning, BELLAMY, there will be a link to it in the show notes. We used to salute the flag of the United States of America with the Bellamy salute until the Nazi parties ruined it. And there are pictures from that time. So what would be the time of the 36 Olympics in Berlin? Part of the reason that they did the salute to the Nazi party as they did was to mock the way that citizens of the United States would salute their flag. And that's how we switched to hand over our heart's devotion to the flag and to the country and to God, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Wow. But it did not used to be that way. And it is jarring to see photos of American elementary schools in black and white doing the old Bellamy salute to the red, white, and blue.
No, wow, that is quite interesting indeed. And the fact that, at least that's a tradition that we are no longer carry on, but still carrying that torch from place to place, but let's make the good out of it. Thankfully, it had nothing to do with anything terrible, but nonetheless, was contrived by some Nazis to bring glory to their party and their country back in 1936.
I wonder how many people, as we sort of talk on the other side of this, I wonder how many people, obviously you and I didn't know about that. I wonder if we live in a day and in an age where people would try to stop it if that was more known, that that's where it came about and who it came from. Or are we able to go, listen, yes, terrible. Those people are terrible. What they stood for was terrible. But the unity and the symbolism of several people carrying the torch and country to country and until we get to the Olympics sort of overwhelms the origination of the whole thing.
Yeah. Quite interesting. Some of our traditions we carry on. And once we learn where they come from, sometimes we change. We like to change a lot of things in our history at the moment. But I don't know, go figure. But just thought that was an interesting fact, knowing that it's a tradition we still carry on today.
Yeah, I appreciate that interesting fact. And that's the kind of stuff you get with Saints Who Sport. One tradition that has never changed is that we hope that this episode has nourished and strengthened your body.
That if you're sick and couldn't listen, that you'll be able to listen next time.
And that when the time comes, you'll be able to travel home in safety. In the meantime, Chris at Alpine Lakes Travel, Rick McGee, Debbie Wanless, Chocolate Cake Bites Podcast, and the Tiger, with a U, will be saving a seat for you
on the back row
of the Cultural Hall.
Save me a seat, it's sure to be neat on the back row. We